To DDRC members, staff, and guests, multiple staff members are present to make sure that the meeting runs smoothly and all applicants and citizens are able to communicate with the commission at the appropriate time. If you are here today and would like to speak about a case, please provide your name clearly into the microphone and be sure to sign in, either at the back of the room or at the podium for documentation purposes. I will call you as a chairperson when it's time to come up and swear you in, and we'll proceed at that time.
I'll call the roll. Ms. Gallo?
Here.
Mr. Greenberg? Here. Ms. Jaco?
Here.
Mr. McKenzie? Here. Mr. Salibi?
Here.
And Mr. Shelton?
Here.
We have quorum.
In order to avoid ex parte communications, DDRC members are under strict instructions not to discuss cases under consideration with the public or with each other outside of the public forum. The meeting typically starts with staff calling the case, giving a summary of the project, and then calling on the applicant to present if they wish. Decisions are typically made in one evening. Decisions may be appealed within 30 days to a court of competent jurisdiction. Oaths will be administered individually as we hear either from applicants or live speakers. Applicants with requests before the DDRC are allotted a presentation time of 10 minutes. This time should include, but is not limited to, an overview of the project, case history, and any pertinent meetings held regarding the request. This time also includes all persons presenting information on behalf of the applicant, such as attorneys, engineers, and architects. This time limit does not include any questions asked by the DDRC or staff regarding the request. Members of the general public are given the opportunity to address their concerns in intervals of 2 minutes. Applicants may have 5 minutes to respond. Staff has a timer and will make all presenters aware of when their time has expired. Are there any changes to the agenda?
We have a few changes under the historic portion of the regular agenda. The first is deferral of 2819 Bratton Street, a request for design approval for exterior changes in the Melrose Heights Oaklawn Architectural Conservation District. The same for 1803 Enery Avenue, which is a request for a design approval for an addition in the Wales Garden Architectural Conservation District. A third deferral is for 210 Williams Street, request for design approval for an addition in Granby Architectural Conservation District. And 740 Gervais Street, a request for a design approval for exterior changes to a building in the West Gervais Historic Commercial District has been withdrawn. Likewise, under the consent agenda, 427 Hardin Street, a request for recommendation for landmark status type 2 was deferred.
Okay. The DDRC uses the consent agenda to approve non-controversial or routine matters by a single motion and vote. If a member of the DDRC or the general public wants to discuss an item on the consent agenda, that item is removed from the agenda and considered during the meeting. The DDRC then approves the remaining consent agenda items. Will staff please review the consent agenda?
Certainly. Our first item is 400 Laurel Street, a request for design approval for construction of security fencing in the City Center Design Development District. Also, 1420 Woodrow Street, request for design approval for an addition in the Melrose Heights Oaklawn Architectural Conservation District. 2323 Green Street, a request for design approval for construction of a duplex in the Old Shandon, Lower Waverly Protection Area. 2321 Green Street, request for design approval for construction of a duplex in the Old Shandon, Lower Waverly Protection Area. And lastly, 1005 Pine Street, request for design approval for construction of a single-family home in the Old Shandon, Lower Waverly Protection Area.
Is there anyone from the DDRC that would like to have any item removed from the consent agenda? Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda? If so, please come up now. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda, subject to all conditions, terms, and also the February minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda and the February minutes.
Ms. Jaco,
Yes?
Ms. Gallo,
Yes.
Mr. Greenberg, Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Salibi,
Yes.
and Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, well, now I'll move forward to the regular agenda.
The first case on the regular agenda is a request for the certificate of design approval for the new construction of a mixed-use development at 2031 and 2019 Bull Street, 2022, 2034, and 2042 Marion Street, 1408, 1416, and 1420 Elmwood Ave. This proposal is for the development of a 288-unit mixed-use multifamily apartment complex. The apartments, 236 of which are single-bedroom units, 33 two-bedroom and 19 three-bedroom, sit atop a structured parking facility containing 376 spaces. Ground-level retail spaces line the Bull and Elmwood elevations of the building, and a resident fitness center, lobby, leasing, and bike parking space line the Marion Street facade at ground level. The structure is 8 stories tall and approximately 85 feet in height. The site is bounded by Elmwood Avenue to the north, Bull Street to the east, and Marion Street to the west. In section 5.3.3 of the City Center Guidelines on proportion of openings, the proportion of openings on the ground floor relative to cladding is roughly 64%. That percentage is 44% on a typical upper story. This difference between upper story and ground level openings closely aligns with the recommended percentages of 70% on ground floor and 40% on a typical upper story outlined in these guidelines. On section 5.3.5, wall articulation, which states long, blank, unarticulated street wall facades should not be allowed. Facades should instead be divided into a series of structural bays, i.e. masonry piers which frame windows and door elements. This subdivision of the wall plane establishes a rhythm similar to many existing older buildings found in City Center. Goes on to say, monolithic street wall facades should be, quote, broken by vertical and horizontal articulation, sculpted, carved, or penetrated wall surfaces that are defined by recesses and reveals. These features are characterized by A, breaks, reveals, or recesses in the surface of the wall itself, and B, placement of windows and door openings, or C, the placement of balconies, awnings, and or canopies. Staff finds that the horizontality of this project is broken up through variations in the depth of the development's outermost surfaces by the vertically oriented arrangement of window openings on the upper stories and through recessed vertical brick detailing in both the storefront and upper levels. There are only 2 large unarticulated faces on this building. That would be the 2 ground floor levels on the south facade shown in this elevation, and the east and west facing sections of the first and third stairwells. On section 5.5 on open spaces and private development, staff finds that the pedestrian realm and open spaces on this site are dotted with streetscape elements that will enhance both the pedestrian and resident experience. Street lighting, trash receptacles, bike racks, and benches populate the furnishing zone, which is the space most adjacent to the roadway that helps shield pedestrians on the sidewalk from vehicular traffic. Outdoor dining spaces sit closer to the building frontage along Elmwood Ave and within the voided corner near the intersection of Bull and Elmwood. Brick pavers add richness to this corner. The corner gateway plaza is what it's called, and in other spaces throughout the site. The level of articulation within both these open spaces and the retail spaces that look onto them ensures user security and invites public use. In section 5.6 on landscaping, staff finds that a variety of trees, 80 in total, that are comprised of 8 different species, surround the site. Tree grates are utilized where necessary, and special attention has been paid to the spacing of trees and soil conditions in which the trees are planted. These trees are an essential component to the site design of the development. Beyond enhancing the character of the site, they will provide much needed shade in the warmer months and help calm traffic along the main corridors that they flank. The southern edge of the site hosts a dog park with artificial turf, a paved walkway, and amenity spaces that are lined with accent trees and hedges. In section 5.7.1 on storefront composition, accessories and details, particularly on the section of entries and doorways. Each entryway is covered by a black aluminum canopy that contrasts nicely with the red brick cladding that it's mounted to. The scale and contrasting color of these awnings makes the entryway they cover more easily identifiable, as outlined in the guidelines. So with that being said, staff finds that the project is in substantial compliance with the design guidelines and recommends granting a certificate of design approval with the following conditions. Explore the addition of openings on the unadorned vertical faces of the southern ends of the Marion and Bull Street elevations, which are the first and third stairwells that I talked about before, and explore further activation of the two lowest floors on the south elevation through murals, canopies, and or additional screened window openings where possible. Signage must come back for a separate review, and staff recommends that any additional details or further changes to the design of this project come back for further staff review. And the applicant is here to speak if they wish.
Sure. Yeah, please come on up to the microphone. I'll swear you in before we start. If you could state your name, please.
Yes. Hi, my name is John Wofford. I'm a partner with Astral Development.
And do you swear to tell the truth during this proceeding?
Yes, I will do my best.
Okay. Is there anybody else who will be speaking as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Our architect as well.
Sure, yeah, come on up, if you don't mind, state your name. Make sure you speak as best as you can into the microphone.
Sure. I'm Ryan Trimble with Axiom Architecture.
And do you swear to tell the truth during this proceeding?
I do.
All right, thank you. Let me just check in, staff, everything okay?
Everything's okay. That's coming after this. Okay. That's the next case. Okay.
Oh, okay, no, I got you. All right.
All right.
Yeah, I know, you need an extender on your microphone. I mean, do the best you can.
I'll do my best here.
All right.
Alrighty. Yes, well, thank you very much for your time here today to the DDRC and to the City of Columbia. As I said previously, my name is John Wofford, and I'm a partner at Astral Development. My family has been in Columbia, South Carolina now for 4 generations, so I take this site and the design of it very personally. I graduated in Auburn in architecture and got a job at Stevenson Wilkinson originally over here on Main Street. And that's what started my foray into architecture and wanting to try to make a difference in Columbia. I have been very thankful to have worked in multifamily housing in both California and New York, and wanted to try to take what I've learned in those markets and places and try to apply that here in Columbia. We've reached out to the presidents of different neighborhood historic groups, including Robert Mills, Elmwood, and Cottontown, to make sure that the neighbors knew about our project and appreciated our attention to design. And we hope that this will ultimately be a catalyst for the Bull and Elmwood corridors and to connect the Bull Street District with Main Street. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Ryan with Axiom Architecture.
Thanks, John. As John mentioned, I already said, I'm Ryan with Axiom Architecture. First, I want to say thanks for giving us a chance to present this to you tonight. And thank you to city staff for doing a very detailed review. I'm intending to give just kind of a brief overview. I think that the city staff comments really captured a lot of what we were trying to do. So I'll give you this brief overview and then be available to answer questions as needed. The building is on Elmwood Avenue. It does span the kind of full block from Bull Street down to Marion. It is 8 stories. It's approximately 85 feet to the roof. The parapets do extend a couple feet above that just to help screen the HVAC equipment, things like that will be on the roof. Knowing that this is a very large building, we've done a lot to try to break down the scale of it. You can see in the rendering, once you get up above the ground floor retail, we step the facade back a good bit in a couple of sections. The apartments step back in order to break down that massing, kind of creating this rhythm of 3 kind of protrusions out on Elmwood Avenue. On the back side of the building, there's two courtyards, one of which is open to the exterior. That one has the swimming pool in it. And then upstairs on the 8th floor, southwest corner, we have another roof terrace up there that takes advantage of the views towards downtown and again, tries to help further break down the massing just a little bit. The stairwells on the back of the building protrude and are brick clad as again, a way to kind of create a little bit of hierarchy on that side of the building as well. It is 288 units, mostly one bedroom, some twos and threes, as was noted earlier. We have approximately 19,000 square feet of retail shell space on the ground floor. That's primarily along Elmwood Avenue and Bull Street. As you turn the corner on Marion, that's where we've located the leasing office and the main resident entry, trying to take advantage of the more pedestrian friendly and kind of neighborhood feel on that side. There is a space for the resident fitness center on the Marion and Elmwood corner. And then we've got a bike room that's pretty large to try to encourage cycling for tenants and things on that side of the building as well. All of the retail and the leasing wrap a parking garage that's on the first 3 floors of the building. It has 376 parking spaces. Approximately 57 of those are for retail visitors and just visitors in general to the project. Those are located on the ground floor. The balance of those parking spaces are upstairs and would be secure parking for the residents only. We are proposing, I think, 9 on-street parking spaces on the Marion Street side. Those are going to be angled spaces that were actually part of the streetscape improvements that were done at the Bull and Elmwood interchange. I think they were just simply removed from that project at one point, but we're more or less following the intent that those were going to be there anyway. The facade, that was covered pretty well. Most of the ground floor is large storefront windows, again, trying to accentuate the retail spaces and the activity on the street level. We've got a lot of canopies down there to try to draw you to the entrances to those retail spaces. We're doing a lot with kind of brick detailing and that sort of thing as well to help break down the massing. We'll have sconce light fixtures and those sorts of things to try to further the pedestrian experience around the building. The lower portions of the building are mostly brick, as you can see in the renderings. We do accentuate that with some metal panel veneer. And then we pick up metal panel on the top of the building to kind of create a cap to the building on that upper floor. Landscape-wise and streetscape-wise, we have large shade trees all the way around the street sides of the building. We do have additional landscaping as you get closer to the Bull and Elmwood interchange. That's very intentional to try to soften that corner and make it, again, try to make it a little more pedestrian-friendly on that side of the building. It was mentioned earlier, the rear yard of the building has some additional outdoor amenities, including a dog park. I think the last thing I'll mention is that I want to compliment John and his team and the city for working on this project to try to bury the power lines around the project. I think that that's going to be a huge deal if we can get that done. So we are working on that as well. Like I said, that's kind of my high-level overview. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right. Open up. Any commissioners have any questions or comments to the team? Yes.
Just comment, I think it looks great. I think you've done a lot. It's good articulation of the facade and everything. Just a curious question, how are you handling dryer vent exhausting? Is that going to the roof, or are there things we're not seeing in the rendering?
That doesn't show up in the rendering yet. We're still early in the design process. That'll be ducted through the exterior walls. We do intend to probably use flat profile vent caps, so they'll be kind of as minimal as they can, and we usually try to line those up to give it a little more intentionality than being super random.
Sure.
Any other commissioners? Any comments? All right. Well, thank you. Yes, exciting project. Thank you. I will now open it up for any public comments. Did anybody from the public sign up to speak on this case? Yes, please come on up. If you don't mind, state your name.
Good afternoon. I'm Denise Wellman.
And do you swear to tell the truth during this proceeding?
I do.
Thank you. And did you sign in too?
I did.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you do for our city and for the opportunity to be in front of you this afternoon. I am the president of Cottontown, and I am here in support of this project, speaking on behalf of Cottontown. We appreciate Mr. Wofford's communication and transparency. It's so nice when a developer reaches out to the neighborhoods that are going to be affected by a project, especially as large as something like this. We also appreciate the fact that he has really advanced quickly the new guidelines for the downtown area, and he's incorporated those features into this structure. We see that it is a beautiful complement to the Bull Street District, and we hope will help create the connectivity that we're trying to achieve in downtown Columbia. I really appreciate the staff's guidance as well to add so many features that are going to really tie this nicely into the area. And we would urge you to approve this project with the staff's recommendations for changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else from the public want to speak on the case? Yes, hi, come on up.
Good afternoon. It cleared up for you.
I did. If you could state your name,
Elizabeth Marks.
and do you swear to tell the truth in this proceeding?
I do.
Great. And had you signed in already as well? Did you sign in on one of the forms?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here on behalf of the Robert Mills Historic District. We're on the east side of Bull Street, directly across the street from the project, and we are very appreciative of the fact that they have worked with Historic Columbia on compatibility issues, and that they came to the neighborhoods and were very open, answered all of our questions. We couldn't, I think, ask for more cooperative people to work with. The last time we talked about a development on that corner, it was a 10-pump Murphy Oil gas station with a liquor store. So this is like a dream come true. We didn't want the gas station there. We certainly didn't want the liquor store there. So having this is, it's really an answer to our concerns, and we think it's going to be a great addition on that corner and to the surrounding neighborhoods. I also want to say that, I don't know, we haven't talked about it at all, but the fact that they're going to put the trash cans and commercial dumpsters underneath the building, and the parking's going to be underneath the building, really helps the character of our neighborhood, which is basically houses on the National Register from the 1800s. So having those cars be more invisible on the corner and having trash pickup underneath the building where the noises won't roll into the neighborhoods, it's just, it's a very thoughtful design that they've come up with. So we also urge you to approve. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else from the public here to speak on this case? Okay. I assume no other follow-up from the commissioners? Okay. No, yes.
Yeah, my comment is just commending the applicants on reaching out to the neighborhood associations in advance. We had a comment from the president of the Elmwood Association as well. So you had 3 neighborhood presidents, neighborhood associations, say how transparent you were and how much you reached out to them to get their feedback. So I just want to say I appreciate that engagement.
Yeah, I'd like to, that is greatly appreciated. We always like to hear that when there's been that kind of level of communication and input. So yes, that was to be commended. Thank you. All right, well, with that, I'll open it up for a motion.
I'll make the motion. All right, I make a motion to approve the certificate of design approval of the project at 2031 and 2019 Bull Street, 2022, 2034, 2042 Marion Street, and 1408, 1416, and 1420 Elmwood Avenue with the following conditions: to explore the addition of openings on the unadorned vertical faces of the southern ends of the Marion and Bull Street elevations, the first and third stairwells, explore further activation of the 2 lowest floors on the south elevation through murals, canopies, and additional screened openings where possible. Signage must come back for a separate review, and that staff recommends that any additional details with further changes to the design of this project come back for staff review.
Second.
Ms. Jaco?
Yes?
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Greenberg? Mr. McKenzie? Mr. Salibi?
Yes.
And Mr. Shelton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Next case?
So the next case is 1720 Enery Avenue. This is a request for a certificate of design approval for an addition in the Wales Garden Architectural Conservation District. Rachel Walling is the staff person for this district. She's out today, so I'm presenting for her. So this is a non-contributing building in the Wales Garden District. It's had some changes made to it. Nevertheless, we review changes to non-contributing buildings in order to ensure that they remain compatible to their own style and that features and changes to the houses also are in keeping with the context of the district. This proposal is for 2 additions off the right side of the house, 2 quite small ones, one towards the front for a bathroom, one towards the back for a closet. Each addition is proposed to be clad in lap siding, and one window is proposed for the side elevation of the front addition. So this was submitted by the applicant. This gives you the front elevation showing from the front the bathroom that's proposed. And then on the right side elevation, you can see the 2 lap-sided additions from that side. Side additions are typically not recommended on historic homes, as this type of addition creates a false sense of historical development and detracts or alters the original design. This isn't so much of a concern for non-contributing buildings, but as I said, we focus on making sure on non-contributing buildings that the exterior changes, including additions, are in keeping with district patterns and don't add features that are incompatible with the existing building's architecture or style. Rachel wrote that in looking at the floor plan of the house, which is here, she could see potential for working with the existing massing and layout of the house to add on the desired spaces in a way that will be compatible with the building and neighborhood patterns rather than what is proposed today. She recommends denying the current proposal for the addition so that the plans can be reworked to meet district standards. There were 2 other items in the proposal today which can be handled at staff level. One was to paint the house, which can be permitted for non-contributing buildings, and also a driveway, which can be done at staff level. So there has been a precedent that is cited in your evaluation where the DDRC looked at a house at 1213 Gladden Street last November requesting a side addition to a non-contributing house. The design used brick to match the house, which was in keeping with the existing material, and had detailing that followed the existing patterns of the home. The design appeared cohesive from the street. It was set back towards the rear of the building, and it was approved by the commission. So the guidelines say to site additions so that they don't detract from or obstruct important architectural features of the existing building or those around it, especially the principal facade. Preservation review focuses on making sure that exterior changes, including additions, are largely in keeping with district patterns and don't add features that are inconsistent with the existing building's architecture or style. This would include basic form and massing, which should be considered with any addition. In the case of 1720 Enery, the side additions are proposed on either side of an existing projecting bay. This is highly visible from the street and detracts from the existing architecture. They don't relate to the house in a cohesive way and would stand out as viewed from the streetscape. The design and materials of the additions are lap siding as opposed to the brick of the existing home, which would make them even more visible from the street, would make them pop. And while a visible addition to this non-contributing building may be allowed in some iteration, more thought should be given to the placement, proportions, and detailing of any addition so that it doesn't detract from the character of the neighborhood. Design additions using materials and detailing compatible with the original structure. I think we talked about the material is not compatible with the existing house. Likewise, we have some concern that the roofs on the additions are hip roofs, and next to that projecting bay, it's not really clear how all of those roof forms would work together in this iteration, nor are those consistent with neighborhood patterns in terms of fenestration, as there's only one visible window on one of the additions. Let's see. The size of the additions are small, which is acceptable per the guidelines. However, where they are placed on the building is not coherent with the existing home. So all in all, staff finds that the proposed additions at 1720 Enery Avenue are not in keeping with Section 5 of the Wales Garden Architectural Conservation District Guidelines and recommends denial. And here, let me run back through here. You saw the drawings of the proposed additions. Let's see, how do I get to the brick in the middle is the projecting bay that's existing. Floor plan, the right side of the home, which is where the additions would be placed. So the front addition would come out in front of that projecting bay, the back behind it. And that would be it. Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Okay. Oh, hi. Okay. Is staff done with the presentation case? Shall I let the applicant up now? All right. Yeah, coming up if you'd like to speak.
Oh, I am sorry.
go ahead.
I forgot to mention that we did receive a letter from the neighborhood asking the commission to support staff recommendations for a denial.
Right, I did see that. Okay. All right. If you want to come up, please
Going
state
from
your.
one extreme to the next. We're going from a big project to this.
Right.
John Lawson.
And do you sort of tell the truth during this proceeding?
I do.
Thank you.
I've got to sign in. So I purchased this house about 9 months ago for my daughter. She plays volleyball for South Carolina. And so it's a 3-1, it's 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. And so she's going to room with 2 of her teammates in there. And so I needed to add a bathroom and add a closet. One room doesn't have a bathroom, the other one does not have a closet. So I've spoken to Rachel many times. What I was trying to do was I was trying to do an addition that did not require structural removal of exterior walls. And we have a setback issue on the right side. So the protrusion that is currently there is within 5 feet of the setback. So it doesn't allow enough room for a closet or a bathroom or anything like that. So I'm certainly open. I told Rachel, I do not mind doing brick on the exterior. That is not a problem. I was just concerned that I wouldn't match the existing brick, which is old, and I didn't know if I had approval to paint the house. So but I have no issues putting brick on the house at all. And so she had mentioned that she had suggested the addition to be all one piece instead of two separate pieces. And due to the setback limitations on that right side, I just did not really see another way to do it. Plus, I have egress issues with that middle bedroom. Eliminating that double window, I don't have a third window large enough to meet egress, and that's where my daughter stays, and I've got to make sure she can get out of the house if there's a fire. So, but I'm certainly open to any and all suggestions and changes, and I have no issues with either.
So just to clarify, so you and staff have been kind of going back and forth, trying to
many
find a
times.
solution? Okay, but we're still not there? Okay.
Still not there, yeah. Rachel,
Okay.
she had mentioned I knew she was recommending it for denial, but I didn't really have another path other than her saying I needed to get with an architect and have architectural drawings. And I just, I'd rather put that $8,000 or $10,000 in the house versus on a piece of paper. But I'll do whatever needs to be done to get it done.
Okay.
Did you tell Rachel that you were open to using brick on the additions before she recommended denial?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I may have even written that in an email to her, but yes, I'm certainly open to all the exterior finishes. I'm certainly open to obviously matching the existing house. The house on the front of the house has vinyl siding over the front gable, so that's what made me think of tying in the siding on the sides, but I don't know what's behind that vinyl siding, but it's probably best that it's there. So I've already repaired a number of structural issues in the house and mold issues. I've taken care of all of that before they ever moved in. But this is a summer project when they leave for school is what I'm trying to get done. And I just don't know how else, the front bedroom, I just don't know how or where else to add a bathroom. It's obviously an extremely small house as it is.
So I guess staff, I'm just trying to understand, is it deferral versus a denial? Like, is there not a path where they can maybe work this out? Or, help me understand, or what's the direction we're trying to go here?
My take on, after discussing this with Rachel, is that it is difficult in a historic district to do side additions such as those that are being proposed. Typically, additions come off the back of the house rather than piecemeal on the side. So her thought was to incorporate these probably more towards the back of the house, working with the footprint. She's got the architectural background and know how to do that, and saw some possibilities where things could be configured to accommodate the need for more space.
May I show one thing to everyone? This is the house next door. It has an addition on the front corner, and I just wanted to show it to illustrate that, I think ours will look a lot better than this.
Well, we run into this all the time too.
But-
Staff can comment, I don't
but
even
it
know
may
if
have
it's in
been
the district or not.
30
Yeah.
years ago, before the
Right.
historic district was ever formed. But
Well, I'll defer if my architects have any comments or suggestions, but beyond staff and the applicant trying to come to a solution, I'm not quite sure what we can offer at this point, but I don't know, I will defer if any commissioner has any comment.
Because it sounds like maybe the possibility of additions to the back. You're not necessarily looking to add more space. You're looking to add specifically bathrooms and closets to existing
yes,
bedrooms.
just make it a more functional house in today's world. Yeah, I've got 3 girls in there with 1 bathroom.
Sure. And so additions to the back it wouldn't do you any good.
No, there's not.
And
Well-
I'm not sure that Ms. Walling was considering keeping the existing footprint exactly as it was, but
Yeah, she never did mention that to me. She did mention improvements to the rear versus the front, which brought in the middle section of the house. And I told her, just like I tell everyone, I'm open to anything. I'm just trying to find a solution,
I guess maybe just one comment I'll make. It seems like a lot of time was spent discussing the contrast of lap siding and brick, in that it may be more compatible if brick were used instead. I'm just curious as to what the point of even mentioning that was, if the recommendation was going to be denial anyways.
It was just to address that point in the guidelines. The larger concern, usually lap siding is used, but on the back of a house where it's, less visible and easily seen as a larger considered addition, if you will. But the larger concern here really is the placement of and form of these small additions on the side of the home, and the fact that they don't create a flow with the existing house or its architecture, so you lose that projecting bay between your two smaller additions, which don't really seem to have much to do architecturally with the structure of the home.
And no, I do understand that. And I do understand, having had lived in a historic house, sometimes your closet is not adjacent to your bedroom, it is down the hall. And I think that's, the point that Rachel's saying, you got to kind of view it in the sense of the historic nature of the house that it is. Did you have anything to comment?
Yeah, I'm the resident architect on the panel tonight. So
I should.
I think I agree with what the staff's saying, and in my mind, I just have trouble seeing how the roof plan works and how you're not trapping water in some regard on that right side, because you do have the, bedroom 2 has the one hip that comes out, and it's the proud moment right now. And when you protrude further than that, it just, to me, the roof plan gets a little messy. And so,
So I could, okay, and I know this isn't where we resolve everything. So, one of my main concerns with the homes being so close is I did not want to push that 5-foot setback. But I walked up and down the street today and I saw homes that were close to the line. So I've just got to figure out the egress in that room. If I'm going to use the bump out area as extend that out. So I don't mean to take up all your time.
yeah, I think there's options. I think you can extend the bump out. You could also, I don't know what this costs, but you could take that square footage and put it on the rear, and then, access it through your existing back door and just add that third bedroom and bathroom on the rear, and maybe your front bedroom becomes a larger bathroom and closet under existing roof. Just ideas to throw out there that I think might work a little cleaner with the roof.
Yeah, well, let me get back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my idea that came to my mind. To me, it makes sense if the massing needs to happen to the rear, to look at the bedroom 2 and 3 in your drawings and think about how you design a bathroom and closet to support those bedrooms, and look to do a whole new bedroom with a bathroom and closet in there at the rear of the building. And then I think you accomplish your 3 bedrooms that are functional. And
Yes, sir.
So I think we're saying there's definitely a path that could be found forward. Does that still put us back where we originally, with our staff recommendation, to just deny? That's where I'm trying to understand.
Well, given that we don't have a working plan right now, yeah.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's the kind of clarification we need. All right. Any other questions for the applicant?
Thanks for your time.
All right, thank
I'll
you.
get back to it.
Yep. Was there anyone from the public here to speak today? On this case? Okay. It's now or never. All right, just checking in.
Quick question,
Yeah.
procedurally, any increased burden of resubmitting the application versus delaying this and allowing the applicant to work with staff?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm going to open it up for a motion.
I'll make the motion again. All right. I recommend the denial of a certificate of design approval at the 1720 Honoré Avenue.
Second. Could you please amend, because it does not meet the guidelines?
Yeah, I'll amend the motion. I recommend a denial of the certificate of design approval at 1720 Honoree Avenue due to the submitted plans incompatibility with the neighborhood guidelines.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Jaco?
Yes?
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. McKenzie? Mr. Salibi?
Yes.
And Mr. Shelton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Any other items on our agenda?
There are no other items on the agenda.
Any other business?
Under other business, just a note that there will be a work session next month, right before the DDRC meeting. There was a reference, I think, to the revised city center design guidelines today during the meeting. That's something that our urban design staff have been working on, and so we want to introduce y'all to those revised guidelines so you're familiar with them, because you will be using them, hopefully,
And that's going to
if
plan to do
approved.
that before our meeting
I believe
next month?
so.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be at 3.
At 3?
Right. Did y'all catch that?
I did. So April meeting at 3 to review the guidelines.
Right.
Hopefully be on an agenda in May, is what I heard. Right, okay.
Right, yeah. They'll have to go to city council for approval, so they're making their way through
Okay.
the approval processes.
All right, good. No other business then?
No other business.
All right, none on my half either. So just a motion, anybody motion to adjourn?
When a motion is deferred, it means it comes up at another meeting. I came to speak to a property.
Correct. It is deferred until it's back to being active. So you got to check the agenda. Yeah, yes, yeah. Sorry, Joe, good question. You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah, that would be.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.